Hi, this is Priyanka Sundar for Cinema Express, and we are talking to Shruti Hassan today about her upcoming show, Bestseller. Hi, Shruti.
Hi, Priyanka. I love your curls, girl.
Thank you. My first question is, you play a fan in this film, and we know that you read a lot of books. So, how did you take inspiration to play this fan in a psychological thriller? Did you get something from the books that you read, or how?
Well, there's a funny thing, but it's a very different thing to be a fan of an author than be a fan of a movie star or a musician, right? What happens, and that's what's even in the trailer. It's like she feels like she's met this person, and when we all read books, we feel like they're writing about us or our lives or our motivations, not our lives, but our feelings. I'm a huge fan of Neil Gaiman, the author, like
Mhm.
a mad fan. And I had the chance to meet him, and then I have a chance today to be his friend. And I think I must have looked like me too, because I was like, Sir, मैं आपकी बहुत बड़ी fan हूँ. I was just really, really, I related to that portion of it, because it's one thing to be a fan and be like, I love your movies and all. But it's another thing to truly feel like you can see the artist and they can see something about you, especially with an author. And I think that part I could definitely relate to. But otherwise, there's nothing I can really relate to Me Too with.
One of the things in the trailer is that I feel like somehow you have a gray shade. Yeah, people are hitting you and you look really lost in certain scenes, like where you're supposed to look lost. But somehow I keep getting this feeling that in the end, you're going to turn out to be the killer. Is that intentional
No,
or?
no, it's not intentional. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of my real life persona has confused people, because in the past few years I have been very vocal about who I am and what I feel, and that's a great thing. But it's also like, and as far as gray shades go, I think all women are complex creatures, and if that's something you feel from the trailer, that makes me really happy, because that means you're not looking at her as a one dimensional woman.
When it comes to psychological thrillers, how are they any different from, say, other web series? Like for an audience, the tone, everything is different. But from the actor's perspective, how do you look at your work differently?
So the I always say this, and I say, for an actor, one of the most challenging genres, which I feel, is comedy, and for writers, one of the most challenging genres is writing a thriller. I think our writers have done a great job, and that's where you win half of the battle, where the writing is riveting. And when I was offered the script, that's something I really, really enjoyed. And then after that, it's not in our hands; it's in the hands of the creators in the edit room. That's how you make a thriller. It's the before and the after that really counts. Because if the before is strong, we all perform it with that motivation, because we know the twist, we know the turns, we know the nature of the story. And then, of course, it gets saved really and brought to life truly in the edit room. So for me as an actor, I would say it was just about connecting to this woman and connecting to her role in the story.
Do you read psychological thrillers? And if you do, like, could you see yourself as one of the characters in the book?
I have,
And
yeah. I love translated thrillers, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and then there's the Verhoeven series. I read a lot of thrillers, actually, but I had to like stop reading thrillers for a bit, because I was just kind of like this in my whole life. And then I went through serial killer documentaries phase, which I think I'm in for quite a while now, and so I'm very much intrigued by the darkness, the macabre, the thrilling, the intriguing. That's just my zone. So I was so happy to play this.
speaking of your co-stars, like, how is it to play the role of Me Too with Mithun Chakrabarti on screen or with Arjun Bajwa? Like all of them, like what was your experience like with them?
Well, yeah, with Arjun, we had a lot of scenes, because she's his fan, Tahir
Mm-hmm.
Wazir's fan. And with Mithun, that was really, really serendipitous for me, because this is the first time I'm reconnecting with him after my debut in Hindi in Luck. So it was really like, how they say in Tamil, Nalla Amayardu, like it just comes
Mm.
together very well.
One of the things that I noticed in the trailer is, you have this interaction scene with him where he asks you about what you were doing in this particular scene or why you were attacked and you have wounds and everything. So when you are having such scenes, Do you prepare for it beforehand? Do you have like a session where you talk about it, or was it all like, did you just do it on spot? Like, how was that particular equation?
Well, for the preparation for this character, it was a lot of language work, because she has a particular, if you notice even in the trailer, it's just a little bit off. It's not a Hindi we're used to. But there are people who speak like that, but we didn't want to make it too obvious. So it was about that subtle balance. And as far as this character goes, I'd have to say, Priyanka, that this was one role where I didn't feel like discussing it much. Like I felt like very personally motivated to do my own homework internally on how to flesh her out and how to make her, to honor her story. So it was a lot of internal preparation, because she's a very interesting character, truly.
So one of the things that I noticed is you have done different formats of films, like anthologies. You've done Pittakadalu, you've done you've done a lot, and then you've done feature films, and now there's this OTT, like full-fledged 8-episode or 6-episode show. So how is each of them different, and where do you see yourself thriving the most as an actor?
So I feel that it's just the experience and the story. Like sometimes we get excited and we go on set and it's like, okay. But this wasn't that, which I was really thankful for, because I was like, yeah, this is super fun. You had mentioned, Puttam Pudu Kala is something I'd done with Amazon. And that was completely, actually, I have to thank my cousin, because it was Suhasini who was like, come do this little guest role in this anthology I'm doing. And I'm really glad she asked me, because that I hadn't even done the other thing yet, or bestseller yet. But the reach that it had, and that so many people could choose to watch it, and it was in the pandemic, like it really changed my perception. I'm like, oh, obviously other people are like me as well, sitting at home and scrolling through this, with stuff to watch. And now I think, we're not post-pandemic, we're still in it, but we're much more back into our lives. People still value very much that choice of going home and putting on, Amazon Prime and watching whatever they want to. And I think that's we're in a really crucial and wonderful time to be putting bestseller out.
Speaking of scrolling and watching, what are you watching recently? And how do you get back to that after playing something like a role in a really psycho thriller type of a role?
Well, I'm also shooting other stuff at the same time. I'm also writing my music, but I'm a major binge watcher. But currently I'm watching documentaries about like Egyptian gods and goddesses and rulers. It's like I'm very dweeby. I go into these zones. I'll see something. I recently saw something about a financial fraud woman, and I was watching her whole real life story. So when I find something, I just like go into it fully.
When you work on multiple projects, essentially, if they're lighthearted, maybe it's easier for you to get out of the role. But what about, say, something heavy or something like a psychological thriller that you're on? So how do you get out of that character?
It's actually the other way around.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's actually the other way around. So I'm not playing anything extremely lighthearted at the moment, but there have been times in the past where I'm drawn to intensity as a person. I'm drawn to that extremes of emotion, both sides of the hemisphere of that emotional arc. What I find most challenging is to get back into lightheartedness, because I'm like, I gotta chill. Okay. Your whole body has to like move differently and feel differently. I'm very quick to go to intensity, even as a person. I'm like not easily lighthearted either. So, it's definitely more difficult for me to switch out of intensity, because I also personally find it more appealing, right? So when I have to go back into, even in the shooting of, say, bestseller, we would have a day which was like, and then we'd jump to a scene which was quite chill compared to the other, and I'd be like, it's just like, where's the party? So I'm definitely more drawn to it. But I think the nature of the way we've all been working, like, I have a co-star in Prabhas who's currently on multiple projects. So I always tell him, you're working like, a female actor with so many projects. And you have to learn to, be multitasking emotionally as well for these characters.
In that case, when you're playing Me Too, like when you're multitasking, take from a music perspective, like you've said multiple times that you love your music and you're working on it. So what about a film or a show pulls you away from music to,
No,
spend
see,
some
for
time
me,
on this?
I've learned that balancing of time. And
Mhm.
when I'm working on something, I'm not thinking about my music. Sometimes, though, I have to say that acting has greatly helped my songwriting and my ability to understand the characters within myself, so I can
Mhm.
write it from that point of view because I'm having to do that with myself. I don't think, I'm very blessed as a songwriter that I get to live this parallel life as an actor, which is about stories, women, and emotions. And that's what
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
music is about. It's about my story, me as a woman, and my emotions. But what music has gained from my acting career is the ability to tell the story better, the ability to perform it better on stage. I have no fear of leaving that stage. I don't know if that makes
Mhm.
sense, but I can fly off with my song and people get to see me take off and land back in front of them. That's what I feel it's brought.
Both of the things, like so in your life, you're saying that both of them are somehow interconnected and they have helped each other grow as
Yes.
a part of you. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So as a musician, do you, like, say for a psychological thriller, one of the things is the music, like, it sets the tone for a lot of scenes. So as a musician, do you see yourself analyzing it or maybe having an opinion on it?
I mean, I just, I really trust Siddharth Malhotra's view. He's the creator of the show. He's, a very accomplished director in his own right. So you don't have to worry, And he had an amazing team on the show, and I'm sure people will love it. The other important thing I've realized, Priyanka, is like as a musician, when you hear stuff, you start hearing the chord changes and then like why did they program this way? They should have mixed it like that. I stopped doing that long ago. So I have two parts of my brain where I go, I'm just going to listen to this. And then there's the other part was like, I'm going to listen to this so that I understand the musicality of it. So I separate those. So even when I watch my own movies and shows, I can switch it off and say, I'm just going to watch it.
Because as a person
No,
who
it can be
reviews
a big
films,
burden otherwise. You can't,
yeah,
you stop enjoying things.
enjoying.
Yeah.
Okay. So with bestseller, as Me Too, is there something that you brought to the table that is very different from your previous roles, or is there something that the role gave you which you couldn't have gotten from any other films? Like,
I would say that, I've always found women, and you'll relate, like every woman has a different brand of resilience. May not be like yours, but you can see every woman is hustling, whether you're a housewife or a woman making it in the corporate world or an actor or a journalist, whoever, there's a hustle. I think that, I related to her journey, not as my journey. As a woman, I could say, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And I have to honor that. So that's what I think was for me the takeaway, building. I think even as a woman, I always say we don't have to get along with each other, but we have to respect each other's journeys.
women have different personalities. Like, do you think in real life you live different personalities with different people? Like, because after seeing you speak about yourself and the changes that you've gone through, I've been curious. Like, do you see yourself be different around different people and different films, different kind of films? Do you see?
I think I
the
used to
change?
be like that a lot, Priyanka. Like with these people, this Shruti should come out.
Mhm.
That's something I've completely stopped. This is me. Those who have to love me and know me will make the effort to understand and take the time. For those who don't, I can't. And I've lost a few friends because when I chose authenticity, it's never an easy choice, but it's a very rewarding choice. I'm pretty much the same with everybody, which some people really value and love. And some people are just like, that's weird, and that's fine. But this is just how I feel comfortable now.
It's been great talking to you. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Priyanka.
I'm looking forward to the show. All the
Please
best.
watch. Yes.
Yes.